Hello everyone, my name is Markiplier and I just made $11,000 for being on trending for having a simple conversation with my mom. It makes me sick. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I got a whole bunch of good news stuff for you today. As usual, the main topic of the day is that China calls for a lift on cryptocurrency ban after the Xi Jinping blockchain speech. So commentaries in both the local press and on local social media claim that the time is right for Beijing to readdress the ban, which began in September 2017, which, if anybody remembers, totally rocked the price of Bitcoin. I think we were at just a little over about 5,000, and then we went down to 3,300, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3,200. So she mentioned blockchain speech during a speech at the Chinese Academy of Sciences 19th annual conference. And along with other new technologies, he said that breakthroughs were constantly coming, echoing China's ongoing commitment to implementing projects of its own. The country is set to develop a national blockchain standards by the end of 2019. That's incredibly disappointing because that'll be way, way too late. So good job, China. Ever since the start of the 21st century, a new generation of industrial revolution is substantially reshaping the global economic structure with artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and blockchain constantly making application breakthroughs. One translation of the speech uploaded to Reddit reads, so regulate, not ban, says local paper. So an opinion piece in Chinese English language. What is Chinese English language? Is that like, I mean, it's one or the other, right? News sources, Global Times Thursday, meanwhile, added to the sense of anticipation that regulators may look again to permitting Bitcoin and its ilk. Is that a word? I thought I had a good vocabulary. I don't know what ilk is. More than anything, it claims a pressing concern for the government should be the threat of losing out to competition from more relaxed jurisdiction. So fencing off Bitcoin exchanges can effectively end the Bitcoin trade, and fears of Bitcoin bubble could lead to China behind the digital currency revolution. So hopefully China decides to, reverse its ban, or at least some of the bans, and allow people to trade Bitcoin once again, which would dramatically raise the price of Bitcoin. So again, for example, in September 2017, they decided to do pretty much a sweeping ban. I don't think it actually included mining, but any kind of exchanges, and that rocked the price of Bitcoin. I remember we were in the 4,900s. We were just about to breach 5,000, and it went down to about $3,200. So that's a pretty big drop. That's really significant, and so it would just go. It just goes to show how China has a huge impact on the price of cryptocurrency. And if they were to reinstate it, we could easily see a 50% increase very, very quickly in the price of crypto. But they really aren't talking about it until the end of 2019, or at least national blockchain standards. So hopefully that comes a little bit sooner, because 2019, I mean, that's a long way away. I mean, the world could get hit with a meteor by the time 2019 comes along. So come on, let's get with the program a little bit. So EOS, too big to fail. Mainnet launch will reveal if expectations were justified. So the EOS token lockdown is coming within hours, and those who forget to register may have to wait for the remedial actions from the team. The EOS project is constantly sending reminders for the completion of the process. The Exodus wallet has also warned it would not serve as a mechanism to acquire the new tokens. Exchanges are the only platforms that would be capable to instantly credit the new balances. For one unlucky user, the registration on one of the EOS support sites also endangered 10 millions worth of funds. I don't think you need an apostrophe on the end of that, but all right. Luckily intercepted with a warning. So the EOS market price has stabilized at 1237, up 14% the past 7 days, and climbing tentatively in the past hours. EOS has been sliding slowly in the past month, both in dollar terms and against Bitcoin. In a crypto market with generally thinned out volumes, the demand for EOS takes trading to around 7.6% of all deals, while Ethereum regained its popularity with more than 12% of trades. EOS has clearly become the winner. I don't know if that makes it clearly the winner. And the most prominent project in the past months, but this has not stopped the criticisms that the price was a concerted operation. Also, EOS dumping Ethereum certainly helps EOS's case. The last completed EOS auction achieved a price of below $12. Still, the latest month of daily auction saw robust daily proceeds of Ethereum, with nearly 40,000 tokens paid into the auction. The rough estimates see Block 1 sitting at as much as $4 billion in Ethereum. So if you watched the episode yesterday, I talked about how EOS holds an incredible amount of Ethereum, and they are essentially dumping it as time goes on, which is really, really devastating the price of Ethereum. And every time Ethereum goes into any kind of bullish movement, it just got knocked right back down by EOS, by them selling it, because they are actually selling. They're not selling it over the counter. They're selling it on, I think it was Bittrex, if I'm not mistaken. And so they're really dumping the price of it. Ripple wants people to stop calling its coin Ripple. What's the difference between Ripple, the company, and Ripple XRP, the cryptocurrency? Remember, many people would assert not a lot, given that the former owns most of the latter, and its founders were responsible for creating Ripple in the first place. Ripple, the company, has other ideas, though, and is on a mission to separate the two Ripples, big and small, once and for all. Love it, I guess. The rhyming, that is. For several months, Ripple has been on a mission to dispel the notion that it is responsible for the XRP currency it issues. Just as Prince once changed himself into a symbol, the project would like to turn its currency into a symbol and keep it that way. This is despite the fact that XRP is simply a currency ticker derived from an abbreviation of the word Ripple, just as XMR is an abbreviation of Monero. To mark the distinction, a new logo has been proposed that is clean, minimalist, and tellingly looks like that of Ripple. So the proposed new logos of Ripple, that is the worst logo I've ever seen. I bet whoever made that was probably like, yeah, I'm going to take this to the board of directors. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. This is terrible. So it's been theorized that the company is seeking to distance itself from its eponymous currency in order to de-securitize it. The likelihood of XRP being a security, given the fact that Ripple has a majority holding, is strong. In the event of Ripple being classified as such by the SEC, it would give a major impact on XRP's price and its availability on U.S. exchanges. Given the foregoing, it makes sense for the company to emphasize the distinction between the company and XRP. It is likely to encounter significant difficulties, however, in convincing people that that's the case. Yeah, you probably will. It's going to be XRP for life. Good luck on that. You know, and if it was classified as a security by the SEC, it would have an impact on XRP's price. Well, you know, you can't mess up XRP's price anymore, because we're all the way down to, I think at the time of recording this, about 55 cents, 60 cents, something like that, when it was previously $3.50 some cents, close to $4 at its height. So, you know, good luck ruining the price anymore. Oh, well, here we go. We got the Roger Ver Weekly Show. Make sure you guys tune into that so you can listen to how Bitcoin cashes Bitcoin. That sounds like a really great time. Awesome. I'll make sure to bookmark that and put that on my calendar and just, you know, tell my family. I'm like, I can't hang out tonight. You guys just go somewhere. I don't care. I'm getting a hotel room for the night because I'm watching the Roger Ver Weekly Show. I got things to do, you know? That sounds like a blast. Of course, it's on Bitcoin.com. It makes sense. It's the only place that would ever show that. Let's skip this one. We already talked about Ripple. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want it. Get it out of here. ASUS to realize 20 graphics card mining master motherboard in fall of 2018. Oh my, because their last one was so amazing. Their last one was just awesome, right? So, and what I'm talking about is the ASUS B250 mining board, if I'm not mistaken. It was their previous one. So finally announced the release of its second generation. Here we go. So this is the H370 mining board, and previously they had the ASUS B250, which I believe had 18 or 19 GPU hookups, and it didn't work, like, at all. Like, you couldn't hook up all of the GPUs to it. I've never seen anybody that really could without a huge hassle to hook up all the GPUs to the ASUS B250 mining expert. So now they're like, hey, the last one worked so good. Let's create a 20 graphics card board. So you can see here they have the 24-pin ATX power supply connectors here. So you can essentially hook up three separate power supplies to this so that you can run 20 GPUs. But good luck running 20 GPUs in this board. That's like a challenge from me. If you can get that working, go ahead and just comment on my channel with a link to your video, and I'll go, hey, look what we have here, Coca-Cola. That's the stuff. It creates a warm feeling. It's so delicious. I can't wait for the holidays so that I can leave Santa Claus not cookies, but a nice Coca-Cola. Come on, Coke. You know where I'm at. So yeah, good luck with that, ASUS. The last board, it just didn't work so good. You could hook up GPUs to it, but hooking up like 18 GPUs is just a super hassle. And from all the reviews that I heard, it wasn't happening. Most people couldn't hook them up. It was a huge pain. So yeah, good luck, ASUS, with that. I would rather just use like a 6 or an 8 GPU board and just get multiple. But I suppose either way. Hopefully this new release is a little bit better than the last one. So could government-issued cryptocurrencies be the future? Uh-oh. I've talked about government cryptocurrencies a lot in the past, and let me just tell you again, and you're like, oh, the people that have heard this a million times from me are just like, oh, and they're just looking around now. And you guys just take a break. You just take a break and sit with your fidget spinner while I educate all the other people. So a government cryptocurrency would be, let's see, what do you call it? The worst thing in the world, the great evil, if you will. The reason why is because you'd go to a bank, you'd get a private key, or you'd get a public key from your bank, and you'd give them your ID, your social security number. You'd go to a bank, you'd get all this information. The government then issues you currency. You'd go to your job, and you give your employer your public key for direct deposit. So when you get paid in a currency, right? So now when I pay somebody my currency, it's on the public blockchain. So now, not only, because not like the government can't look up your bank account as it is if they really wanted to, but now it would be government controlled. So they could just look up all the public blockchains, see all the transactions. You could see it everywhere. You could see it. You could see that I paid my neighbor, and that my neighbor paid this guy and that guy and that guy, and it would go on and on and on, and it would create a link nonstop for everybody's buying habits. It would be horrible, just horrible. And that's my quick description of it. I've talked about it in much more detail. The government could control the amount of the currency, the inflation, the deflation, the interest, everything, and would be able to see everything you do and everything that everybody else does with your money. So that's bad. That's bad. That's super bad. It's really, really bad. It's way worse than what we have today as banks. It would be much more public. You want to go out and buy some drugs tonight? Guess who's going to know what you just did? The government. So that's it's just not good. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just saying that like anything you would do would be on the blockchain. In Sweden, just 2% of the country's transactions are conducted with cash, and that number is expected to decline further to 0.5% by 2020. So in countries like Canada, US, and the UK show similar stats. So changing customer habits and trust in the new medium just doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years. Good. Governments launching their own cryptocurrencies via private blockchain seems like a smart move as the dollar and the other fiats continue to lose value and more citizens discover Bitcoin. Right, because if a government created cryptocurrency, they're going to make it better than the fiat that they just created? What? So if they can't control their fiat, then they can control crypto? Venezuela was the first major country to pull this off after suffering from a hyperinflated currency and severe economic issues, and we all know how well the petro worked out. However, given the whole point of Bitcoin is to subvert government and bank control over an individual's money, it's hard to see how a crypto dollar that tracks all of your transactions, earnings, and tax liabilities will be favored choice by citizens. Exactly. Government-controlled cryptocurrency goes against the blockchain ethos of decentralization and self-governance, making it no more valuable to regular citizens than today's fiat. So what may become a useful cryptocurrency for institutions to trade services across borders may not be what is adopted by citizens seeking autonomy over spending and finances. Despite this, countries like the U.S., who have a dominant position on the world stage, could ensure that a government-issued cryptocurrency becomes as ubiquitous and in demand as the current fiat U.S. dollar. And then they also think that Bitcoin is overpriced. But overpriced compared to what? Compared to your fiat, or compared to itself? Like, you know, that's a weird question. So yeah, the great evil may be coming sooner or later. It's already digital, but they're just going to be like, hey, let's make it even more digital. So hard forks may kill Bitcoin in 100 years, because we all care about 100 years. I mean, we should care about the future. We really should. Let me reiterate that. We should. But I'm gonna definitely be dead in 100 years. And unfortunately, so are you. But the future, American Nobel laureate, economist, academic, and best-selling author Robert Shiller, oh man, what an unfortunate name, claims Bitcoin may be extinct in 100 years and hard forks will be to blame. A big forking problem. Good one. Nobody can accurately see 100 years into the future, but prominent economist, I always do that, Robert Shiller, claims Bitcoin may be the way to go of the West African black rhinoceros. May go the way of the West African black rhinoceros. They got me good. That is to say, extinct. According to Yale professor, hard forks will be to blame for the dissolution of the first and foremost cryptocurrency. Bitcoin won't look like anything today in 100 years. It'll have a different name if it exists. No, it won't. It'll still have Bitcoin. If you fork off Bitcoin, that creates a new name, not Bitcoin forking. There will have been many hard forks changing changing it. It'll be a matter of dispute whether it exists or not. Indeed, the amount of Bitcoin hard forks already in existence numbers above 30, and most notably include Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Private. A whole slew of less noteworthy forks also exist, like Bitcoin God, Bitcoin All, Bitcoin Smart. Meanwhile, more hard forks of the market leader are already planned, including anonymous Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, because we need another one of them. One may easily argue that the sheer amount of Bitcoin hard forks indeed does very little to benefit the most mainstream cryptocurrency. In fact, there remains a civil war against Bitcoin and Btrash, the fourth largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, because of their fraud and manipulation. Awesome! With the latter actively making attempts to claim the Bitcoin name for itself while rebranding the former to Bitcoin Core. Adding to the confusion is the fact that a group of developers have recently embraced the Bitcoin Core moniker, perpetuated by some Bitcoin Cash proponents, having launched a cryptocurrency under the same name, BTCC, while calling it the real open source peer-to-peer electronic cash. Of course they do. Why wouldn't you? For those who have yet to dip their toes in Bitcoin's waters, the widespread co-opting of the market leader's name can be overwhelming, particularly when trying to figure out which is the real Bitcoin. The one with Bitcoin in the name, just Bitcoin, BTC, Bitcoin. It's not hard, literally, for anybody, nobody, like nobody in the world, even a grandma. You're like, hey, you know what the real Bitcoin is? And she's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, let me tell you, it's called Bitcoin. And she's like, okay. And then I'll be like, hey, let me tell you what some fake Bitcoins are. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin God, Bitcoin All. And then she'll be like, hey, I'm 75 years old, but I get it. So Bitcoin is just Bitcoin, and all the fake ones just have some kind of other name in it. And I go, yes. And she's like, I got it now. It's that easy, literally. It looks like a bubble. Hard forks may not be the only reason Bitcoin dies in a century or so. Schiller has also claimed that the gold standard of cryptocurrency could fade away into obscurity as times change. One scenario is that something like what happened after 2013 when Bitcoin topped 1,000 and lost 80% of its value. It looked like Bitcoin was just fading away. Yeah, it looked like that. However, my opinion is that in 100 years we won't care so much about Bitcoin. I think in 100 years Bitcoin may still exist, but technology is going to change so dramatically. We won't be sitting at computers. We won't have these very archaic cell phones. Even though, as amazing as they are today, how you can access the internet, watch movies, do anything you want on your cell phone. It's just all going to be archaic. And 100 years, so many things can change. 100 years ago, it was 1918. We barely had vehicles. We barely finished World War I. Okay, so electronics basically didn't exist, except for maybe electricity and physics. That's it. So, in 100 years, we could be on Mars. Like, we could be giving tours to, like, Jupiter. I don't know. The amount of change in 100 years is incredible. So Bitcoin may die off in the sense of being underused because another currency or some other fad or some other thing takes its place. 100 years is a long time, particularly in this latest generation that we live in. So the difference between, 1918 and 1818, well, sure, you could say there's a lot of notable differences, but honestly, it was pretty similar. There wasn't too many major advances. I mean, mostly sciences, there were some advances, but the difference between 1918 and 2018 is very, very notable compared to 1818 to 1918. So, from 2018 to 2118 is going to be so much different than what we live in today. So it's really hard to say what's going to happen in a year, and I almost hate reading about it because I truly, honestly think that something else is going to take its place within 100 years. Because, I mean, come on, 100 years. So the final article today is that Bitcoin traders rejoice. Bittrex launches US dollar trading pairs. Amazing, because I'm tired of using Tether. It's been a long path. Earlier, Bittrex CEO Bill Shihara announced that the exchange had reached an agreement with New York-based Signature Bank, which, along with other financial institutions, will hold customers' U.S. dollar funds, initially available only to corporate clients in Washington, California, New York, Montana, even though nobody lives in Montana. Who even trades cryptocurrency in Montana? There's like 1 million people in Montana. It's a very, very large state, but a very, very low population. I think the lowest population state is Wyoming, pretty sure, but Montana would be pretty close. There's probably more than 1 million people, but it's just, corporate clients in Montana. That's just that's just like, okay, we're going to add Washington. All right, that's good. We're going to add California. Let's add New York. What other state? Let's do Montana. Somebody across the table. And they're like, why? And they're like, oh, no, I just heard somebody naming states. But good for you, Montanians. The first U.S. dollar trading pairs will be Bitcoin, Tether, and true U.S. dollar. So big banks lose out. The move is equally conspicuous on the part of the Signature that the bank is based in New York, a jurisdiction infamous for its bit license scheme. It's not without a touch of irony. The broad-reaching and overly invasive initiative has caused a number of cryptocurrency businesses to leave the state, while others have stopped serving New York residents altogether. With several major U.S. lenders, including Wells Fargo, because we all love Wells Fargo, which previously provided banking support for Bittrex, banning customers from purchasing cryptocurrencies with their bank-issued credit cards. Smaller banks like Signature are stepping in to fill the void. Good for you, Signature. Speaking about the agreement, Shihara commented, "They really do look and pour through the entire business. That's not how you. It's not the same word. Pour and pour. Just throwing that out there. They want to make sure that we've got robust AML KYC processes, that we've got the right controls on our finances. I mean, maybe it could be. I mean, pour like a facial pour through the business, but I would think that that'd be like pour through the business. That's a weird one. Maybe you guys could have chosen a less ambiguous word for that. While Bittrex can now resume U.S. dollar trading, other exchanges are struggling to gain banking support. The one exception seems to be Coinbase, the largest of the U.S. exchanges. Coinbase continues to expand its suite of willing banking partners. In fact, they recently reached an agreement with UK lender Barclays to increase the ease with which UK users could buy and sell cryptocurrency for GBP. So that's good, because using Tether and a true U.S. dollar, which are supposed to be tied to the U.S. dollar, which are, never just a dollar. It's either 98 cents or $1.03, or true U.S. dollars at $1.30. Well played for tying that to the U.S. dollar at $1.30. So I'm glad that is the case, because trading with U.S. dollar makes things so much easier for anybody that uses U.S. dollar. But that is all I have for you guys today. I'll tell you what, I have a subscription to buy with my Verge, if you guys get what I'm saying. because that Verge partnership is just so good. I mean, here it is right here. That Verge partnership is just so good, so that we can all just buy our subscriptions that everybody's looking to buy. And I'm just kidding, but screw you, Verge. It's like the worst currency ever. It's so terrible. It might almost be as bad as Bcash. Not quite. It's just below Bcash, and then Bcash is a little worse. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys next time.